Welcome back to the Dropout Drop-In. I'm producer Liz.
And I'm Jordon Brown, and I'm not a magical mommy.
We're halfway through Misfits and Magic, Jordan. Can you believe it?
I can't. I genuinely am shocked when you told me we're halfway through, like 2 minutes
like
before
we
we
just
started
started.
recording.
Yeah.
And they added an episode. I don't know if the cast knows in, like, past tense sense that they are going to have another episode yet. They haven't mentioned it yet, as far as I have heard, which is very, like, weird and fun, but...
Yeah, I wonder at what point they realized they had to do an 11th episode. Maybe that's a question if we ever get to chat with Abria about this season. I want to know. Speaking about chatting about the season, oh my god, I was loving all the comments on last week's episode. What a blast hanging out with all of you in the comments and in the DM. So let's keep it going this week. Get in the comments. We'll see you in there. Shall we start our episode by rolling the dice and talking about our favorite moment from the episode? And feel free to play along in the comments as well. Am I going to roll another 12? I feel like I've been rolling 12s and 16s pretty consistently. It fell on the floor.
We keep it if it's good, I think, is the rule of Misfits and Magic, right?
Keep it if it's good. Well, it was a 9. So in Brennan's world, when he had to roll for high or low and he got an 11 and he was like, well, it's technically high.
Technically high, yeah.
Technically high. What was your 9 from the episode, Jordan?
Ooh, my 9 from the episode, oh gosh, I think it's my personal insight check on how bad Trope-ville, USA is going to be. Because I was like very smitten and charmed by it at first as well, and obviously we've seen the preview for next week. I think things are gonna break bad, but yeah, I was definitely like, this is charming and delightful. What a fun little thing. And I was. It wasn't until Brennan was so hard, like, what's going on here, that I was like, oh no, I should be paying more attention. Abria is not going to have a fun little island for him to visit.
Abria is Abriaing, that's for sure. I definitely caught into the charm of it immediately, and it was very fun watching the moment that Brennan figured out that he, as Evan, should not be charmed by this, even though he, as Brennan, was extremely charmed by this. That
Yes.
was, like, very funny to watch and be like, oh shit, no, Evan would hate this, even though I am eating it up. Yeah. Hilarious.
So good.
So funny.
We'll funny episode. Who knew it was possible on the comedy show?
Who knew it was possible to laugh during the comedy show? And let's talk more about Trope-ville, USA towards the end of this episode and use it to make some more predictions about where we're going from here.
Definitely magic, not Misfits.
We start with Misfits. Exactly. You're so right. Let's start with Sam, because what an episode for Sam. Danielle.
Yeah.
What season.
Look, I know I just said it is the funny episode. This part was not funny. How dare you, Danielle, make me feel so many feelings about humanity and friendship. Just uncalled for. So good. Just like such a powerhouse of a performance.
In her bag this season. This deep character work and playing something in such honesty and truth, like in her bag. It's unbelievable to me what she's adding to the table. It's, I think, her best performance on Dimension 20. Certainly my favorite performance of Danielle's on Dimension 20 by a landslide. It's unbelievable what she's done as Sam in just 5 episodes.
Yeah, and I know she'll refer to Sam as a stone cold dummy, but Sam, like, emotional intelligence is a form of intelligence, Danielle. Sam's got some smarts in there. Yeah, just an absolutely stunningly beautiful whole conversation, not even moment, whole conversation between Evan and Sam. Just like, and I want it on the record. I'll put it, I know we're doing mid-season predictions, not a ship, friendship, not a relationship. I'm team friendship.
I had a big moment of reflection watching Sam this week, which was, I am striving to have the career that Sam evidently has in this magical world, because the ability to refer to absolutely any name drop with such a personal, fucked up anecdote is the world I want to be living in.
Yeah, I want to know more about Ariana Grande, for sure, in the world of Misfits and Magic, not in the real world. She seems fine. But yeah, every time is so good, just like no hesitation, and canonically makes sense that Sam would be friends with them. Davey Attenborough, how dare you? It's so good. And just like the full bleed of Brennan and Evan together, of like a deep love of David Attenborough. Like, you know, that's Brennan's bag as well. Just delightful.
I have to say, like, a lot of people have said that the Wicked marketing is out of control and there's Wicked everywhere you look. And the ability for Wicked to also sneak their way into Dimension 20 with Ariana Grande as a real witch. Mm-hmm. Unbelievable. You can't say Dimension 20 didn't take money for that. Just kidding. They obviously didn't. But the timing of that line coming out right now when Wicked is in the midst of this huge marketing push, I was crying laughing. It was perfect. So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Danielle, finger on the pulse of society, for sure.
Love it.
Yeah.
We also have to talk about Jammer. Mm-hmm. I can't really do the hand, heart, and Jammer.
I love that both of those were programmed in case Lou ever did come around on Tabby. So good. Yeah, it was really sweet. Someone got in one of my comments like, all right, maybe I was wrong about Tabby, because there's been some Tabby hate of just like, all right, Tabby's a little guy that like wants to understand the world. Now I feel bad for him in the same way that Jammer did. But yeah, love that. Love that we got a little more Carlos narrative exposition of the new island that they're on. It's such a fun little bit to just be like, and Carlos explains, go. Just like delightful.
So funny to hear like these pre-programmed bits so seamlessly come into like Abria's lore weaving. I love how seamless it sounds and feels, and I really love how Hand Heart Jammer was ready as much as Kay's like caricature drawing was clearly made. And then obviously, I don't know if scrambled is a fair word to use, but when they're like, well, do you have K's? And they were like, yeah, we do, boop, and then had Kay come on the screen. I was like, well played, production, well played.
Yeah, it was very good. It was just like the amount that they had to do in prep of like, here is a like interactive element that you can like play off of. Abria needs a giant keyboard of buttons to press so that like Tabby hates Jammer or loves Jammer, or I think fuck no is one of the other ones that we learned in the adventuring party. I don't think that came up in the episode. But like just like having drawings of the characters, just so good. And I presume, and I want to believe there isn't an Evan drawing in there that like they're like, Evan won't care one way or the other. We're not gonna bet on that. We're gonna bet that Jammer's gonna be resistant and eventually come to love him, and we're gonna bet that Sam and Kay instantly in love.
Yep. I really want to know the circumstances of which Tabby would say fuck no in canon. And I really want to know the circumstances in which we would get like Evan or Sam or Kay named the way that Jammer's been named. Like, let's see it. Let's see it. But we have 6 more episodes to go. So lots of time. We had so much lore about pop culture dropped this episode, Jordan, that like I feel like this is the right time to bring up some of it as we're talking about the characters, because it really came from all corners.
Uga Shaka count as a pop culture reference? I mean, the song's really old, but
absolutely it does.
That did psychic damage to me. I hated that so much. I hated that as much as Abria hated it.
You went down one in your motive when you heard. Yeah, it was wild, a wild use. We had the fray brought up in the adventuring party. We had the glitter going on the Predators, and then Abria saying 4 Predators on the way to the Renaissance tour. If we don't get fan art of 4 Predators on their way to the Renaissance tour, what was the point of this season? I need it immediately.
Get in the comments. Get in the comments.
And then Erica was dropping left, right, and center. Officially, Kay made the Hunger Games canon in this universe, which I thought was very funny. We also had a Ben Barnes drop, which is very like, oh, he's, often fan casted as a wizard, and now he's like an actor in this world as well. You had the very clear Harry Potter reference with the "my father will hear about this" reference from Kay. Just very funny all around. I could not like get over the amount and the speed of which Erica was like dropping these little tidbits. Very funny.
absolutely delightful. Yeah, and I mean, you know, and that's not even counting the pop culture drops from Danielle, which were also fast and furious as they should be, and also obviously Trope-ville, USA.
Trope-ville, USA. Evan Kemp, Brennan Lee Mulligan. Can't believe it.
So good.
Evan had a really interesting this episode. We haven't seen the repercussions of the FaceTime with Jammer's friends, so I'm really interested to see that come back into play. But we did see him kind of have a little bit of a breakthrough in his like value to other people like mindset through that conversation with Sam. Where do you think Evan's going from here in terms of like his ability to not move only in doubt? Because I think that like that's going to be a big shift come next week.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, in the same way that Brendan Lee Mulligan couldn't stop eating the hamburger helper, I don't know that Evan is gonna have a like moment where he's like, "No, I'm self-sufficient and good now." I think it's gonna still be, "Hey, I'm gonna prove my value to my friends at all costs." I mean, I hope that he gets, you know, some level of better at it, but it's Brennan, so. And they literally talk about it, like we mentioned it, like they talk about it in the adventuring party of like, hey, yeah, you just slip back into old bad behaviors, and that feels like what's gonna happen. Is like, oh no, scary monster on the wall behind us again. Time for Evan to try to stab it as best he can.
Do you want to talk about some of the magic from this week's episode, Jordan? Because wow, did we get some big magical pieces unlocked this week, including what happens when you reach the top of the motive track.
Yeah, that was such a fun game mechanic. I love that so much. Shout out to Lou for just like cruising his way through that motive track. Like the brilliance of like, I'm gonna choose a die that I'm bad at, and that's gonna be the one. Like so smart. Yep. And like also made sense in the story. But yeah, a delight. Also, what did Brennan get, like a 54 on his magic roll of just like. Yeah, like it's so funny to be like, it's a DC 40 to like not blow up Evan's arm, but also it's a DC whatever it was, and Brennan's like, I got a 51, and it's like, okay, so these are possible. Like this isn't out of the question, but it's just wild.
Talk about character choices paying off in such a big way. Like, so gratifying and satisfying to watch that happen. And I think we talked last week about how there's a particular payoff when it comes to actual play where, like, you can see how bad the players want it in an unscripted way. Like, they're gunning for the same things the viewer wants. And I feel like both Lou and Brennan, specifically in those moments that you just, like, I totally agree with everything you just said. Like, their satisfaction and want for those things matched what I was feeling. So it was like, yeah, get it, Lou, like go, yeah. Brennan. It was so fun to watch and like feel like you're on the edge of it with them.
Yeah, have so your cool. Shadow burn out magic from other people. Oh, Evan Kemp, you scary, scary man. Yeah, so and good.
Look, the shadow is detached. The shadow's detached and did not arrive yet in Trope-ville, USA.
I know.
I'm freaking Jordan. What the hell?
Yeah. I hope Shadow Monster on the Wall is not related, but feels like it's gonna be.
Did your heart drop into your stomach when they previewed that for next week? Because I like almost fell off the couch. I was too into my game of Tetris, and then all of a sudden there was a scary looking demon thing on the screen, and I just lost my mind. Yeah. That did not sit well with my spirit.
Yeah. Now, thankfully, I was watching it an hour ago. We were recording Friday morning, so I thankfully was not like tired and like laying on the couch relaxed. I was sitting in this chair watching it at a computer screen, so I was upset but not like ready to be horrified. It's very bright in here, so
it hasn't made its way into your sleep demons like it did immediately for me. Perfect. Yeah. Love to hear it. Quick sidebar, speaking of sleep demons, which is that the trailer for Very Important People has dropped, and if you haven't already watched our reaction to the trailer, we did pick out some sleep demons based on the character previews.
Little claps.
One being Mr. Oyama.
Yeah, in his new terrifying form. Zach Oyama. Who was our other big one?
Lisa Gilroy. Every day I've had a moment thinking about that costume that Lisa Gilroy's in, and I'm not prepared. I'm not prepared.
They
not
really
prepared.
they upped the budget and they upped their game for makeup this season. I can't wait.
I'm so excited to see it. I'm excited to break it down with you and everyone here over the coming months. It's going to be a really fun season, I think, to go episode by episode with.
Yeah, we're like 2 weeks out. It's very exciting.
Can you believe it? We have Halloween next week, and then we have very important people starting not long after. So, man, we're in for a good fall, gang. This is going to be a fun one.
Yes.
And then we're going into Madison Square Garden season, which is something I have to book really soon. So let us know if we'll see you.
I booked my
at
hotel.
25.
Yes, I booked my hotel. Very excited.
Woo-hoo.
Also, I just got the calendar notification that we're starting this recording in 15 minutes.
One thing about Liz is that Liz is going to be chronically late unless she gets the time wrong and shows up 55 minutes early to record.
Yeah.
One more point about the magic of this episode that I'm really curious about is like the idea of Trope-ville existing, right? Also, just to say it, I don't remember the name of where they actually are, so I'm exclusively calling it Trope-ville.
I know it's
USA.
near something. It's near a word.
Way
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Someone in the... Hey, as always, someone is furious in the comments right now.
My brain wants to say Way Home because that was the name of a really famous music festival here in Canada in the 2010s. So in my brain, they're just at a music festival, but that's not. I know that's not what it is.
Yeah. I think it's the name of the sleep paralysis demon based on the preview from last week or for next week. That's my thought. But. Yeah, Trope-ville, so good. Shout out to Brennan for like getting the you don't show the surgery in because you can't show it on TV. So sure, you just ran through a hallway and now you're done. You're fixed. You're all better. So good.
I really had a long think around is this a genuine magical planet? Or is this a manifestation of the magic being broken? And it's all come to where other planets are depleted in magic and they're doing all that crazy stuff to try and get bits of it. Is it manifesting in way too vast amounts on places like this? And that's why these things are happening, because they have an abundance of it, right? Is it really a scale that they're traveling within and they have to redistribute it more evenly or something across islands and lands? Or is there just a planet in this world that's just like this?
Yeah, I'm really curious if any of the people they've met are real people, or if this is going to turn out to be we lured you here for Kay and Sam, we made the perfect island for them, and I, the terrible nightmare, am puppeting everything to make it beautiful for you. I'm very curious what next week's going to bring us, and I'm also very scared.
And that's the soundbite that I think we can use in every episode. I can't wait for next week, and I'm very scared.
Yes.
Jordan, did you love the Grey's Anatomy of it all? Was this a treat?
Is this where I go into my rant about Code Blacks? Because I'm ready. So Code Crimson at the end of the episode brought back the 2 episodes of Grey's Anatomy that I have seen, which is the Code Black post-Super Bowl episode where they're like, you gotta watch. What is a Code Black? And it turns out it's a giant bomb in someone's chest. And it's so stupid. And then it, of course, didn't finish in one episode, so I had to come back the next week to find out what happened. And if you've never seen the episode, here are the spoilers. You shouldn't watch the episode. There's a bomb in someone's chest. Someone has to have their hand on it or it will explode. Ellen Pompeo, right? Gray, that's who this is, right? The guy that has it panics and runs away, and she sticks her hand in. And that's the the episode 1 finale is everyone's, oh no, she might blow up. And then some random guy's there and is like, I'll dispose of the bomb. And as he's walking away with it, he explodes into red mist. And it's the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I was so mad that I had been tricked by television commercials into watching it, that I've never watched another episode of the 32 years that it's been on. And it's still on, right? It's still somehow producing new episodes. Yeah. Anyway.
Man, oh man. Of all the one episode, understanding it's 2 episodes, but of all the singular experiences with Grey's Anatomy to have, I am so deeply apologetic that that was yours. I don't know how many Grey's Anatomy fans or like Grey's Anatomy truthers are watching, but there's definitely a contingency of people that are like my age that like kind of were still had families paying for cable when Grey's Anatomy was on every week, kind of like in its prime, like seasons like 10, 15 years ago. But like, yeah, we were in our Grey's Anatomy bag. So I'm deeply apologetic that that's your one experience with this show. I will say, if I had to pick any one Grey's Anatomy trope to see in next week's episode when it comes to like Code Crimson, and like this might be an unpopular opinion because it was truly like one of the most traumatizing plots of Grey's Anatomy, but I really want them to go George O'Malley with it, which is like a whole, well, I won't spoil it for anyone but if you do, skip ahead 30 seconds if you don't want the spoiler. But the idea that like the person who's experiencing the medical event is a doctor in the hospital, so they're trying to save someone they know. I think like that would be such an interesting trope for this specific overdramatic hospital to have to deal with without being able to show any of the gory stuff.
And they've had to do it 1,000 times, which is why everyone knows what Code Crimson is. It just happens every day, Code Crimson, and they all drop their lunches and run to the thing. I don't believe any of them have ever eaten in that cafeteria. I think every time they go to eat, they are interrupted by a Code Crimson or something similar, and they sprint out in the most dramatic fashion possible. And which also emphasizes that this is all demon controlled. These people are not real, because they aren't eating, as far as I'm concerned.
You know what? One thing I will say, Abria in her fucking bag doing the imitation of the overdramatic doctor in this setting.
Yeah.
Like that acting, impression, whatever you want to call it, was so spot on. I'm like, get Abria on network television immediately. So good. Yeah, I can't wait. I hope a helicopter falls on a doctor next week. Where are my ER fans at? That happened in an episode. That happened. It sure did.
The guy who got crushed by the helicopter also had his arm cut off by a different helicopter. That guy did not have good luck with helicopters.
And it seems like helicopters are a thing you can stay away from, which is all the more funny. Oh my god, I love a little procedural. I would love to hear some predictions in the comments who are like, what hospital show trope you would like to see Code Crimson end up being. The other thing I'd like to see from this planet, not related to a hospital, is like if everything's over exaggerated, if Jammer were to like take Spalding and try and like play a basketball game or just like find a basketball net, would he land a basket every single shot? Like, is this the kind of world that shoots for like perfection? Like, no matter where he is, the ball is going to go in the net.
Yeah, this is behind the back, half court, Sigourney Weaver, like straight through the hoop, for sure, 100%. Yeah. I'm curious if he turns into like full Michael Jordan in Space Jam, and like his arm gets super stretchy and like can dunk from the free throw line.
Will Jammer defy the laws of physics? Honestly, saying that out loud, it seems very likely. Like, that did not seem as far-fetched as it sounded in my head. Okay, the last thing that happened...
It's like a DC 10 at best.
And then he halves it and makes it? Is that how that mechanic works? Yeah,
he won't remember, but Evan would.
Oh my god, the way that the cast has continually forgotten they can do that is the funniest thing on planet Earth to me.
And always reminded by Brennan, and every time they're like, oh yeah, always good. No one remembers having and succeeding.
But the best use of perhaps like thinking on the fly and like making something absolutely insane happening would be the car and making the hoopty into a regular key vehicle. So friggin' funny. And
we got keys already, so it's there.
The fact that Danielle and Brennan had both had the thought to do that is hysterical to me.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, and like so good to be like, I go through the glove box, which we know doesn't have anything valuable in it, but I'm going to get like a key out of that and turn it into the magical item. I genuinely was shocked that Rick Perry didn't run in from off screen and just chuck his own personal keys.
His personal car keys.
Yes.
Honestly, really though.
Yeah.
And the way that Abria landed it so beautifully with that beautiful description of like you feel everything locking into place. I was like, Abria, making it so serious and based in canon immediately for something that is so inherently goofy.
A beautiful yes and, which you
Yeah.
always expect from them. Yeah.
Yeah. What a great season for Yes and, honestly. The camaraderie at the table, not to go into their motives, but like the community, the belonging. Like this is really a group of performers that is so in sync in every single way. And it's such a fun payoff to watch it come together like this. And then you also feel it with everything happening from the production side, aiding the like sense of cohesion at the table. Like they're so all working in sync in a way that like is giving me whiplash from season 1 of Misfits and Magic. Not that that season was bad. It was just so early in the development of Dimension 20 compared to what they're capable of doing now and like how far they've come as performers and technically and as a production team. It's not even night and day. It's like another world entirely. Crazy.
It's magic.
Wow. Okay. And that's where we'll end this week's conversation. But before we go, do you want to cast a formal prediction for the second half of this season?
Oh boy. I mean, not for the whole season. I think someone else dies. Let's say it'll be my formal prediction for the rest of our 6 episodes.
Okay. I think that Kay is going to have like a big moment of heroics, which we have not seen yet from Kay, in the sense that like the entire base of what Kay's been up to and what Kay wants to do is like not saving the magic, but kind of making up for the gap that Kay and Evan specifically caused. And I think the ramification of that is going to be Kay like kind of, it's going to be Arm Explosion 2.0, but on a different scale, right? Like Kay is going to do something or make some kind of heroic save or choice that's going to be so massive and huge, could result in Kay not making it to the end of the season or coming back to life, or just like, I think that Kay is like a ticking time bomb to me, and I want to see that happen.
Yeah. It's so good. Can't wait.
Pittsburgh 2.0. Let's go. I can't wait. I'm terrified for next week. I'm not going to lie to you.
It's going to be great. An episode that was like mostly fun and jokes. What could go wrong next week?
What could go wrong next week? And it'll be Halloween by the time we're recording. So I'm excited to maybe have a spooky episode with you. Who's to say?
I probably won't be in costume.
I've got a bright pink glittery witch's hat, and that's definitely going to be worn next week. So
Amazing.
Very on
I
theme.
have nothing.
We'll work on it.
My son now wants me to be a banana, and that used to be his costume of choice. So I may have to go find a banana suit.
Get in the comments if you are dying to see Jordon in a full banana costume for next week's episode. Yeah. 1 like, and we'll do it. 1 like, and we'll make it happen.